Alright, in today's lesson we're going to look at evaluating expressions in math. So first let's look and figure out what exactly is a mathematical expression. Well, the easiest way to think about it is it's like a math sentence. Right? So think about sentences in English. What can they have? Well, they can have letters, which become words. They have periods, capitals, question marks, exclamation marks. So just like an English sentence contains those things, there's a few things that a math sentence is allowed to have in it. The first thing it can have is, you probably guessed it, numbers. A math sentence can contain numbers. The next thing it can have is something called variables. Now, we're not going to look too closely at variables today, but in the next lesson, we'll look more at expressions that have variables in them. The final thing they can have is operations. And operations in math are things like addition symbol, subtraction symbol, multiplication, division, squaring, square rooting, brackets, any exponents, things like that. One thing an expression is not allowed to have in it is no equal sign. Right? They don't have equal signs in them. If it had an equal sign in it, it would be something called an equation, which we'll look at a little bit later as well. Okay, so we now know that expressions in math are like math sentences that can contain things like numbers, variables, or different operations. And remembering, we're not going to look at variables today, but here are some examples of expressions in math. 9. That's an expression. It is a number, in this case just a single number. Over here, 5 plus 3 is a mathematical expression. This one has two numbers and an operation. Over here we see a slightly more complicated one, but again this one has numbers, 3 this time, and 2 operations in between those numbers. And then finally we have another expression. This one has 4 different numbers, 3, 4, 5, and 3, and it has a few different operations. Addition, multiplication, subtraction, it has brackets, and it has squaring. So these are all examples of expressions because they contain numbers and operations, and there's no equal signs in them. Alright, so we now know what a mathematical expression is and what some look like. Now I want to quickly talk about evaluating expressions. So oftentimes in math, we want to make expressions simpler. And when we make it so simple that it becomes one single number, we call that evaluating an expression. For example, over here 9, that's already as simple as we can go. We can't go any simpler. But here 5 plus 3, most of us know that 5 plus 3, that's the same as 8. So we've just evaluated this expression. We made it one single number. Now you may be saying, whoa, there's not supposed to be equal signs in expressions. Well, what we've just done is we've created two different expressions. 5 plus 3 is an expression, right? Two numbers and an operation, or a lot of those. 8 is also an expression, a single number. And we just created two expressions that are equal. So this line is an expression, and this line there is an expression as well. Over here, 7 minus 4 times 3. Now I put the link up to BEDMAS, our order of operations video. So remember, when we evaluate expressions that have more than one operation, we need to remember which order to do them in. So BEDMAS helps us do that. Remember, we do multiplication first. It becomes 7 minus 12. So what we just did is we created another expression that was equal to the one above it, but is a little bit simpler. It has less numbers. But we're not done. We can keep going. 7 minus 12 is negative 5. So again, we've evaluated the expression. It took us a little bit longer this time, but we made another expression that was a little bit simpler. Then we simplified that and created a final expression, just one single number. And let's look over here at the Big Kahuna one, the final one. Alright, order of operations. Remember, we do brackets first. So 5 minus 3 is 2, and it becomes 2 squared. So here we just created a simpler expression. But we can keep going. Next, after B comes E for exponents. 2 squared means 2 times 2 becomes 4. Again, we're getting simpler. Next we do multiplication, becomes 3 plus 4 times 4 is 16. So far we have 4 different expressions. Each one's a little bit simpler than the one before it. And finally, we get our final expression that's equal to the ones above it, 19. So we've evaluated this expression. We've written it as one single number.